Good morning and welcome to yet another video, and in this video I'll be showing you guys the gear that I mainly bring with me during my travel. I'm currently in Thailand. Today is my last day of quarantine, and at the back here you can see my working station, my kitchen, and over there's also some gear, well, chargers and everything. And in this video I hope you can actually get something away from this video, how I pack, the gear that I choose to bring, and maybe it will help you, maybe not. Maybe you're just here to see like gear talk or just see the gear in general. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So behind me are usually the gears that I bring along with me during my travels, well, in most situations. So let's first start with the camera gear. The camera gear over here, we have the 7200 f2.8, the original first version, so it's without the IS. The 35 1.4, also the original version. I would like to get version 2 because it's so much sharper, so much better with chromatic aberration and everything, and it has weather sealing as well. This one does not. It's still a really good lens for what I use it for. I love this lens so much. It's just that I really wish I have the version 2, but the reason that stops me from getting the version 2 is, well, the first one is the price, and the second one is the fact that it's actually bigger and heavier, and for a person who travels a lot like me, that doesn't do it. And this is my favorite Fuji lens ever. I think this is the best lens they really produce, in my opinion, after all the lenses I've tested from them. This is the 16mm f1.4. I'm looking for the one for Canon as well, just can't really justify paying the price yet. But this is my favorite focal length, favorite lens. It does everything I need it to do. It's like, if I can only pick one lens, then it has to be this 16 or full frame equivalent of 24mm f1.4. So, and the next lens is a little bit weird because it's a kit lens. It's nothing bad about kit lens, but you know, the quality is not that good, but in the same time it is sharp enough for what I needed to do. It's super light, it's super plasticky. It's also very cheap for Fuji standards. The mount is plastic and everything, but this lens is extremely versatile for time-lapse photography. It starts from like kind of standard wide to kind of standard telephoto. Yes, the aperture does shift, but I'm only using it for time-lapse mainly, so it's totally okay. This is kind of a weird one in the bunch, but I use it a lot. It's the EOS 500N. Actually, I lied. It's a successor to the EOS 500, which I usually use a lot, but since I have a shutter curtain problem with that one, I mainly now just use this one. And the beauty about this is just, well, you can pretty much mount any EF lenses on here. It will work with any EF lenses from Canon, but when I try to mount like Sigma or Yongnuo lenses on here, it just doesn't seem to properly take a photo. So maybe that's just a little bit of like too old to mount third-party lenses, I'm not sure. But yeah, otherwise it works very well, and you can just get it for like between 5 to 10 euros, sometimes 15, depending on where you live and the condition of it. Now to my most favorite lens. It's the 85 1.2 Mark II. I love this lens. I would love to get the RF version, but the RF version is, again, super big, super expensive, and I'm still using EF camera right here, which of course the RF would not fit, whereas this would still fit on the adapter, which pretty much I don't have any RF lenses. I'm mainly using EF lenses attached through the adapter for my R camera. But this is the original 1DX, my favorite Canon color science out of all the Canon cameras. But it does have its age, and you can see it when you're working. So just last week I was taking pictures of doctorate graduation ceremony, and you know, the R was just so good at the eye tracking, the tracking on AI servo focusing, things like that. And this is just very slow compared to this. When it gets it really accurate, it does get it really accurate, and my favorite color science is still from here, so it's kind of a dilemma. It's just, I love the resolution, I love the controls, I love the focusing, I love the speed, I love the color science. But here's 51.4. I'm debating on whether or not to upgrade to the 51.2L, simply because that one has weather sealing and the price has dropped dramatically since the RF version is out. Here's the Fuji X-T2 with the 35 f2. It's very nice light lens with a weather sealing, and I also have the grip on it as well, because a lot of times I do use this for time-lapse since I gave my X-T20 to my girlfriend. Here's the GoPro 8. I really love this camera. I beat it up a lot. It just gets thrown around quite a bit, but it's very, very sturdy, very, very solid. The stabilization is pretty good. Here's the clip. It's pretty nice. There are a lot of like these clips going around, like for 5 to 10 euros, sometimes 16, depending on the shipping speed as well. Here's the Video Micro, very simple. A lot of my videos have been shot with this not lens, but microphone. Here's a recorder for a lot of photo shoot videos. I used to use, well, I'm still using a lot of the recorders. This is the Zoom H1, which is my main recorder with this kind of magic arm from Small Rig. Here's my gimbal that I upgraded to from the Ronin SE DJI. This is the Zhiyun Weebill S. It's so much better, so much cheaper, holds more load, and does not overheat as badly as the DJI Ronin SE. My lens pen, oh, this one calibrates also very reliably, and it's just so much more reliable than the Ronin. Of course, AirPods Pro, but when I edit, I either use the wired headphone or, well, headset, or just through the speaker, sorry. And that's because the latency with the wireless microphones, with the wireless headphones or headsets or what have you is just too much. If you're just editing something really precisely, any single wireless headsets are not as good in the timing. It's like perfect speed as the wired headphones or headsets. So yeah, here's my M1 MacBook Air. I upgraded from my 15-inch MacBook Pro, quad-core i7, 16 gigs of RAM. This is the base model, like the absolute base model M1 MacBook Air. I consider it as an upgrade because when I'm rendering stuff in video, when I'm exporting stuff from Lightroom, it's just so much faster, like so much faster. Not only rendering, but exporting pretty much. The downside of having the base model compared to even the previous model that I have, which is the quad-core i7, 16 gig of RAM, kind of one of the top model of the previous MacBook Pro line. I can really feel like if I'm exporting something, well, a lot of projects through Lightroom with its camera, with this computer, I really feel that 8GB of RAM limit, because if I start using a lot of tabs in Chrome or if I start editing something really heavily in Final Cut Pro, it will start lagging very heavily if something is being exported through one of the other programs. So with the previous computers, with the 16GB of RAM, if I'm exporting something like a huge project from Lightroom or Final Cut Pro, I am still able to use other programs really heavily simultaneously. Sorry about my voice. And then here we have the hard drive and my connection. I do have the USB-C hard drive right here, well, solid state drive. This is mainly for photo editing. I have another one in my camera bag as a backup. This is my main editing SSD. This is one of my 5 terabytes. I have 2 more over here, just a marking so I know what backup I'm working with. At this point, At this point, I'm really lucky if the 5 terabyte lasts just over 2 months. I'm chewing through data like crazy, like making videos for YouTube, also making videos for clients, making photos, well, delivering photos for clients and everything. It's just taking up a lot of memory. And you know, if you're like content creator, you need backup of that backup, and then offsite backup. So it's just a lot to deal with in terms of storage. And just one last thing before I move to another location, which is here my SD card pouch and also CF cards and micro SD for the drone, but I'm not bringing my drone during my shoot because more and more locations are actually banning drones, so it's kind of weird to bring drones around. The cover for the Rode wireless link that I'm using right now. Here's my battery pouch, which is a lot. And talking about batteries, I really highly recommend using the original batteries. Even nowadays, I think that the third-party batteries, even the high-branded ones, are not as good as the original ones, simply because more and more cameras are using more and more complicated ways of power delivering methods. And what I experience with like some of the high-end professional cameras, not only from like Canon, but also from like Nikon, and also even basic cameras like the GoPro, if I use really high-end third-party knockoffs, the GoPro, for example, freezes after maybe 45 minutes of using or after an hour of using. The Canon, not even the R5, but just the normal R can heat up a little bit, but not to the point where it overheats, but just heats up a little bit more than usual because it's just something to do with the actual power supply. I assume that it's not the same as the actual power supply, how the battery usually manages the power supply to the camera. But that's just an overall assumption, really generalizing what happened. But here in this corner is my USB hub charger, which here I carry my pocket Wi-Fi, which is very good if your hotel does not have fast internet. Really old 20,000 milliamp hour bank from Anker. The newer one is like half a size, but it's also 100% more expensive. Here is the pouch where I carry all the cables, adapters, and also this screw for the GoPro. Batteries that was charging over here. I stopped carrying original battery chargers when traveling simply because they're so much bigger. These ones are like dual chargers, or you can even put 3 for the GoPro. And the beauty is you can put in the USB cable, which I'm already carrying anyway for other charging devices. And the beauty of this is as well is I can use the USB charging or charging from the power bank if I'm on the go, if my camera is busy, you know, on a shoot or something. So that's pretty good, and it works quite well. Of course, charging from the actual USB is not as fast as from the actual power brick, but in the same time, if I'm charging, it's usually from overnight, and that's just purely fine. And to be honest, if I'm using a lot of batteries on the day anyway, I have the battery pouch right here that has more than enough supply for 1 or 2 days worth, so leaving me with enough time overnight to charge all the empty batteries anyway. So yeah, oh, by the way, one last thing are the bags that I'm carrying. This is the smaller bag that I'm carrying. I made a video about this bag before. It's the Memento Satchel Classic bag. It's a Thai brand, which I'm quite proud of, to be honest. And this is my more heavy-duty bag that I kind of upgraded from the Lowepro Protactic 450 Mark II. It is a different kind of beast, but it is also reliable, and I feel safer using it during the rain for some reason. But it's also a much smaller and lighter bag. That being said, I wish that the width would be more like the Lowepro Protactic, because I am carrying the 1DX, and having to carry the 1DX, I ended up having to put it on the top compartment here more than in the actual camera insert. So yeah, just to keep that in mind. And just one thing I really forgot to mention is the camera that I'm using to film, which is the X-T3, and the lens that I was using earlier is the 10-24. Anyway, I'm gonna have breakfast now because they just served me breakfast, and yeah. Anyway, I hope you can actually take something away from this video. I know it's a little bit short, but also not that short. Anyway, what am I saying? I'm a bit hungry because I also just woke up and I'm a bit jet lagged and everything. So yeah. Anyway, if you need a free photography guidebook, the link is down in the description below. It's absolutely for free, no need to submit your email address, nothing, just click and download, and I will not bombard you with any email newsletter nonsense. Yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to ask me at any time. I really hope you can actually take something away from this video, if not a lot, then a little, or if you enjoy the gear talk, that's also good, although it was actually very little gear talk, actually. Yeah, otherwise, thank you very much for watching. Till next time, bye for now.